Yeah. You have anything to say, or you just want us to?
Just very happy to be moving up to the town accountant. It's been a great 4.5 years here, so just really happy.
Good.
So-
Good. Anybody else have?
Yeah, I think we need to congratulate you on
Yes.
being one of 8 in the Commonwealth to
Thank
receive
you.
your municipal accounting certification.
Thank you.
That's amazing, and I knew it took a lot of work to get there, and we're just so proud of you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Good job.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion. Well, I'll do it. This is a motion to promote to town accountant full-time beginning July 5th, 2024.
July 1st?
July 1st?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you said 5th, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
July 1st,
Yeah.
2024. The rate of
Oh,
pay
I'm
is
sorry.
$31.50 an hour, grade 9, step 5, for up to 28 hours per week.
So moved.
Any other discussion?
Then you need a second.
Yes. Second.
Oh, okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good
Made that painless for you. Wait a minute. And also,
We have something for you.
let me just leave this in here for you for later.
I have them, so yeah, leave it in there, it's fine.
Okay.
Fine. I have originals.
And have David do that. too.
So you want to read it?
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
So this is a certificate on her achievement. And we just
Yeah.
want to let you know how special you are and how necessary it is to have an accountant.
Yeah,
Thanks. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
yeah.
It's
I'm
a
just
very competitive marketplace, and we
We're
are
very
so
pleased to
lucky
have
to
you.
have you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good job, Erin.
And good job, Aaron.
Well done.
Okay. Just so we can keep moving, I am gonna, Karen here? So we'll-
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna be moving Dan Studley, who's a part-time operator right now, up to full-time as Assistant Chief Wastewater Operator.
Yes. Hi, Karen Boudreaux, Sewer Commission.
Yeah.
And before I make the vote from the Sewer Commission meeting on June 17th, I would like to give major kudos out to Erin. She has been a significant player in getting all the accounting reports to us, both in PDF and Excel, and we've been able to really analyze things like never before because of all her hard work, so way to go. I'm here tonight, June 17th, we had a sewer commission meeting, and we voted to reclassify Dan Studley, our part-time operator, from grade 7, step 6, to assistant chief, our new position, grade 10, step 1, and this now brings us compliant with both our federal and state permits. We still will be hiring for part-time because our engineers have said we really need to be at 2.5 to do the projects that we've got in front of us. But we are
Right.
now compliant.
Yay! Another congratulations.
And Isaac gets to go home at night.
Yay!
So that's even better. So
That's
Any-
awesome.
Anybody else have anything to say? Or?
Just good job.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting us, to you and the sewer commission, to getting us to this point.
it's been,
I know.
I'd like it to happen in 3 or 4 months. It's been 2 years and you know, it is what it is, but we're getting there.
So I'll motion to officially promote to Assistant Wastewater Operator,
Assistant chief.
Assistant
I
Chief.
think the title is Assistant Wastewater Superintendent.
Yeah,
It
and
does.
in the small ones, chief and superintendent, I used
Yeah.
interchangeably.
I
but-
think,
yeah.
Superintendent.
Mhm.
The rate is $31.42 an hour, grade 10, step 1.
Second.
Okay. Any other comments?
July 1st.
July,
Okay.
as of July
Ju-
1st.
As of-
July
as of
sorry,
July
As
1st.
of July
Oh.
1st,
We're
yep.
just
Yeah.
getting warmed up.
I keep looking at the length of stuff and I'm,
Keep going.
We're good.
okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yay, another yay.
With bells on.
Okay, well, is Todd Zernick here?
He, oh, he is here.
Oh, yay.
He snuck in the back. I didn't see you at first.
Another yay. Hey, Todd. Hi, how are you? Hi, Cameron.
Yeah, you wanna say something?
Oh, introduce him.
Yeah, quick.
Todd has been our diligent captain as well as non-full-time full-timer for the last almost 4 years. Basically holding with our department, hoping for the growth that we've had, which he has been an integral part of, to finally succeed into his current hopeful position pending your approval, where he will potentially get benefits and have a way of retiring and securing this as his full-time employer that he's been so diligently working for the last 4 years. So I'm very proud to be able to have had him A, stand by while we solidified this, and B, be able to present him for this move into his new full-time career.
Anybody else have anything to?
No, I'm just going to say I know Todd's been an essential part of the EMS team.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate your contributions, as well as the strong relationship between Irving and Northfield too. I think you've really helped solidify that too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good, but haven't heard any bad things about you.
That's a good thing. I'll keep it that way.
No, I've heard good things, and you know, our paramedics are, you know, very, very well respected in this area. So.
We work hard at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
So I'll motion to promote the full-time paramedic, Todd Zernick. The pay rate is $28.82 an hour, grade 9, step 1. Able to start July 1st, 2024 upon completion of all necessary documents.
Second?
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Yay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow. Excellent. That's a good.
Should we, we're running ahead,
Well, I think this next one's might take a
take a little while, okay. Now, bring up Tom Walker, if you're all set, Tom? Okay.
I'm here to just go over some of the projects that we got started, coming up, hopefully, weather pending on everything we bring up. Couple of things that I think we have to address. Number one is the water line on Pearson Road. I know a lot of things are still in limbo, but they've had 3 breaks just this week.
Oh.
Or last week, I guess I should say. They've been there every other day. And the road is in serious condition where it needs to be paved, but I don't want to pave the road. It was supposed to be paved 5 years ago, and we've been kind of back and forth on this water line because I don't want to do a nice new road and then have this water situation. Now I know Sunday night they were there, and according to the water department that was there, they were headed back to make a suggestion this gets taken care of. But I think we should try to send a letter of support about the situation, that it's that we need to get the road paved and repaired. It's getting to a point where I was just going to resurface it, but because we put it off for so long, if it goes another 2 or 3 years, it's going to be a complete rebuild. So you're going to go from, say, $60,000 to probably $100,000 or better. they know they have a problem, they know, and I know all the water, whole thing's up in the air still, and that's been their problem for a while, and their holdups. But I think it's getting to a point where they kinda need to do something. And I know we have the same situation on Glenwood, and at one time the sewer was gonna work with them, cause we were gonna upgrade the sewer at the same time they did the water. But since then, we've, I think, changed directions just a little on the sewer there, that we might just do sewer lining. So we won't be doing any type of, other than maybe put a manhole in, we won't be digging the whole road up like was kind of planned. But that water main, it broke this winter, and I mean, it went 2 months before I finally said, you gotta fix it, cause you were destroying the rest of the road. So I don't know if we can just incorporate a general letter to them, and, you know,
Expressing concern
concern
Yeah.
about the situations we have.
and a desire to get it
Correct,
fixed, yeah.
correct.
When we're expressing concern and we're mentioning those two areas, are there any other areas that we should include in that letter?
Well, there's no other areas that they're getting constant breaks or
Okay.
anything. I know he discussed with me that I guess in some of the paperwork they did for a grant, I think one of them was the Ridge or something, he did bring up that Pearson Road was on the list and Myrtle Street because of the, but I think they were just doing it to upgrade because they don't have any pressure up there. They've had minimal breaks up there in the past 4 or 5 years. The big ones are, I mean, Pearson Road, it blows, they put a patch in it, and then they go down the road 50 feet, they put another patch in it. Like I said, there's 3 of them in there right now, just from Tuesday last week to Sunday night.
Oh, boy.
And I know Sunday night they worked on until 2 o'clock in the morning just to get the water service back. By the time it broke at like 6 o'clock or something, and they had to find contractors and everything else, so. It might help the water company over there to go into their people as well if there's a concern from here. I think that will help out a little bit. On the same thing up there, and I don't know what the situation is, and I haven't got any answers. I've talked to a couple of people at the campground. They were down the street. They were told they had to leave, not restrict the water that comes out of the drain and off the road. It's been there for as long as I've lived in Northfield, so. And they went in, they put a pipe, I think it's 6 inches. And they when I gave them the road cut permit, I put on the permit that they could not restrict the water because it drains down around the edge of the field and down into the lower fields. The other night it was right to the top of Pearson Road when we had one of the big rains on Friday night. It finally goes down, but I don't know how it was in there. I've tried to address it with a couple people and I don't get any callbacks. There's a ditch that's like 5 feet wide there, and so now they've restricted it to a 6-inch pipe. And it's a regular rain, it comes up and it goes down and it kind of sinks in the ground and it handles itself. But when you get I think we got almost 2 inches of rain in less than an hour the other night up there, and I mean the drain was overflowing and it pushes it back up and it starts flooding off the other way where it's not supposed to run. So I just want everybody to be aware of it here, that I was waiting for some phone calls. Hopefully we can.
Yeah, who do you need to contact for that?
Well, Steve Wiggins was the contractor that installed
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And I haven't seen him to talk to him about
As far
it.
as the town hall, anybody in here?
No, it was Christian Arnold. I mean, I don't
Okay.
know if this is temporary till they get all their work done, how it's working. It was, the drainage ditch comes around and was put here. When I gave them the curb cut, the road was staying in the original place. But I don't know if they could get some of their equipment in, so they filled this in with gravel and then came back and put a pipe in it, because they're kind of going in on this side of the ditch now. Which, if some of these potential cabins go in, they're gonna, if the road is staying where it is now, it won't change the curb cut because it's less than 50 feet where they moved it. but they're gonna restrict it to put to each one of these cabins because they're gonna have to fill in to have a driveway to each one of the cabins to cross this ditch. You can't just drive through it with a car. So I don't know if that's what their plan is or not.
Would they be able to go, what, the bigger pipe?
They should have to, yeah, I mean, our pipe is 15-inch that crosses the road. Like I said, that was running full bore the other night when I went down there.
Okay. So I know they've changed the site plan up there a few times. So-
Right, and before, in the site plan that I originally gave them the building, the curb cut permit on, the road was staying where it originally was. Like I said, I don't know if they put it over there, if it's just temporary. I'm trying to find that out. If it's temporary, a lot of people do that when they build a house to get the bigger equipment that they need to in, because they can't make the swings in with things. You know, weld trucks, anything they're bringing in. I just wanted you to be aware of.
Okay.
Did
And
you
then-
talk to the building inspector?
Yeah, he just said that's really not his, because I gave him the permit.
Mhm.
And that was just, I know I talked to Alex, I didn't know if you had, Andrea, at all about the culvert on Highland Ave. I mean, I know there's progress, he wanted to have a meeting, and I know there's been, well, with the holidays and everything, because he did, when I talked to him a couple weeks ago, he was hoping within a couple weeks to have a meeting to go over the plan for at least the culvert part of the job. So I was just checking.
Yeah, I
on
haven't heard
his-
from him since then. Yeah, they came out, they did their site work and all that, but then they go back and they actually do the design. So we're waiting now to meet on the design, first phase of the design.
And then they were gonna start the sidewalks afterwards, which I think they're actually starting now.
They've been,
On their
I
design.
think they've been scoping and
Yeah.
marking, so yeah.
And then I didn't know if there was any movement, because I haven't heard anything on the School Street bridge.
The only thing is, that's a holdup at Mass DOT because they're supposed to assign us the engineer. And we've asked them to assign our engineer, but they haven't come back and confirmed that. In fact, we got an email, what was it, couple weeks ago saying, oh yeah, hold up on our end. Yeah, we've got some snafu. So as soon as they assign the engineer, that project will move forward. So we're waiting on the
I
state.
have a few residents that call.
Yeah, we're waiting on the state. As soon as they assign the engineer, we'll work with them for the design.
Okay.
When you say our engineer, you mean somebody who's already working in the town on other
Well,
projects?
Ty and Bond helped
okay.
us with the grant application.
Oh, okay.
And they are certified to take this. I mean, the state can assign various ones, so they are in the pool. We don't know if we'll get them, but we've
Oh,
asked,
it's
since
helpful.
they did the preliminary work, could we have the people who did that? But
Okay.
we don't have any say. They technically, in the small bridge grant engineering phase, assign the engineer,
Gotcha.
because they pay them. So,
Okay.
And as for just projects for the summer that we got lined up so far, there's 2 paving jobs that were gonna happen, Pine Meadow Road. We're gonna level that from Route 63 to the railroad tracks, now that we have the new bids are out as of July 1st. We can if I got Chapter 90 money, if we can go to the other side of the railroad tracks and go a little further, we're gonna go as far as we can go for what I got approved for the Chapter 90 on the road. And then we're gonna go out and start Warwick Road from Burnham Road to approximately about a mile or so to where School Street comes back out onto Warwick Road. We just gotta do a little brush work and gonna clean the edges and inspect all the drainage, and then they're gonna come in and pave there this summer. And then we have the big pipe job, which we just started actually today, down on Pine Meadow Road, where the drainage discharges out back into the ravine, and the pipe's all broke and collapsed.
Oh.
It has been, and well, we've been discussing it for the 20 some odd years I've been here, so. We did start it today, but it's 500 feet of 3-foot pipe, so.
Where on Pine Meadow?
It's actually, it discharges out behind a resident's house, down just before you get to Riverview Drive.
Oh, okay.
It's out, it comes down.
Right after the curve?
It comes all through the curves, all our
Okay.
drainage comes down there, and then
Okay,
there's
gotcha.
a big ravine out in the resident's yard. And that was some of the holdup over the years. They had sheds, they had trees, they had everything We didn't know if we had access to the yard, and now it's got a new resident. We worked and got a form for them to fill out,
Oh, nice.
and to allow us to go in and change it. So we did start down there today, and it's gonna be a little while. We're got other things going on as well as roadside mowing and everything now too.
Okay.
So
Are you changing the size of that pipe? You said that's a 3-foot.
we're putting a 3-foot in. It was only 2 foot there.
Okay.
And we've been back and forth because the price of pipe went up so bad. That's been another huge holdup. I mean, the pipe alone is like $36,000. And the plastic pipe was gonna cost us about $42,000, so we ended up going with concrete pipe, which is actually better. So if somebody drives in the backyard, the problem we have is we don't have a lot of depth. So there isn't a lot of cover, and the different pipes need a certain amount. That's what creates the crush pressure on them. And with plastic pipe, it was in a few places, because the yard is kind of like this, it was going to be pretty close to being at the surface going with the bigger pipe. But with the cement pipe, we can lay it a little leveler for one as well. But it also has the crush point if he drives a tractor or a car. I mean, you're obviously not going to drive a big truck out there, and it's kind of off the side anyways, but he does a lot of mowing with a small tractor and whatnot and out there, so. And then other than that, general maintenance we have, and then we have, I know some people have been calling because we've paved a bunch of roads. We have to rent a machine, and I'm trying to get to a point where we can rent the machine for a week or two to edge the roads, put gravel or loam by people's lawns. We were trying to get caught up on tree work and everything these past couple of weeks. So after the first of the year, that's another, it's on the list. So hopefully once we get caught up on the roadside mowing and everything, we're pretty well caught up for now. Other than we are in August, I've been talking with the contractor about cleaning up all the mess on Golf Row. And that he thinks he's been up and re-looked at it. He thinks he can do it in a week. So, but they're gonna work it before school comes back, so we don't have to fight with the buses, letting the buses through. But we're gonna close Golf Road during the day while we work, and then open it at night. And so it's going to be, we'll get up our signs. We're trying to come up with a date when I have all my help, that they're not vacationing or whatever, so we can all be there to work with the contractor.
Okay.
When do you don't have a target at this point, just sometime this
right
summer?
around the middle of August is
Okay.
what we've been shooting for.
Okay.
We're just trying to firm it up with him, because he had a couple jobs he's trying to get cleaned up with the machine that he has, that he needs to come up there with to pull the trees up out of the ravine and everything.
Did you have more trees come down with we had a couple of storms there recently?
No, we had a few, but
Yeah.
actually there were more. We had some down on Pine Meadow Road this past couple weeks.
Oh, okay.
There's like a swath went through the center of town here. We had one on Warwick Road.
There was one on Main Street, wasn't there?
That Main Street,
Yeah.
but that was state. And then we had one yesterday morning on Burnham Road. Actually, I don't know, it was in the middle there where there's no wires, so. So that's what the plan for this summer is, and by then summer will be shot.
It'll be time for winter.
Much accomplishment. So you're asking for a letter from the Selectboard to the East Northfield Water Company regarding those spots?
Yeah.
And for intervention on the campground road cut, or specification, whether that's a temporary thing or just kind of clarification?
Yeah, so we have something in writing at least that we've notified them, possibly, that's what I'm asking for.
And then on the culvert on Highland Ave, we went through it, no shade, I just was trying to keep up. So the culvert on Highland Ave, that ETA on that is when? That's a meeting with the engineer, you
We
said?
have to get all the engineer stuff done, and then they have to go to the Conservation Commission.
Yeah, they'll permit this year.
Yeah,
Construction won't be
I
till
think
next
they want to
year.
get everything squared away, and then
They'll bid in the winter.
and then go out in the spring.
Yeah.
Have it shovel ready for a spring project.
It's nice to bid late winter, early spring. That's when you get your best responses.
And then the last question, the Highland Ave sidewalks, you said were in progress. What is an ETA on those?
That I don't know, because I mean, they can stop where the culvert's going. It's bad. I mean, some contractors, if the same contractor's doing everything, they could work doing the culvert, doing the sidewalks, because they're gonna, if not, they're gonna have to stop for a span of, I think it's 50 or 75 feet. So if we have a contractor come in and they get both sides done, they'll have to come back and do over where the culvert is. Got to go in, because that's going right under the sidewalks.
So I think the plan is to, because it's just two different funding sources. The plan is to do the engineering, which was what he's saying when they're starting now. The idea would be, I think, to bid those two projects together and do them with one contractor would be the most cost-effective way to do
So
it.
basically it would be spring again when that probably came through.
Because it all has to get permitted.
Yeah.
So you want us to write letters or?
No, that's already in play. I was just
Yeah.
looking for.
Giving
Just
it-
a
okay.
little.
Yeah, that,
Okay.
I didn't know if Andrea, because
Yeah,
we've been
you-
back and forth on stuff, so I wasn't sure if she had any usually Alex is good about the correspondence between
Yeah.
emails and stuff, and I know he did tell me, it was probably 3 weeks ago, he was
I'll
hoping to have a
poke him on
meeting.
that where they are in the engineering.
Yeah, and I said, it's fine, I mean, we were busy anyways.
If you need anything from us, let us know.
Okay. Yep.
Did you already send a letter regarding the campground?
He's
No,
been
you-
contacting
I
them.
tried contacting him.
But I can,
But as you handed out the permits,
I
I'm
gave the
just
permit
wondering if
a while ago. They asked
Right.
for a permit and they had everything, but on the back of the permit, I did write that they can't restrict the water in any
Right.
way.
No, I get that. I'm just wondering if, because I know you like to do personal contact, if it makes sense to
Well, and I don't mind if,
do a written follow-up as
Right.
well.
well,
Yeah.
I'll pull the curb cut permit, I get a copy of it, and I'll reach out to them.
Okay.
I can reach out to them and say, hey, we've had this concern. Just looking at the permit, it says don't disturb the water. What's going on? Is this permanent? Is this temporary? But
Yeah.
yeah,
I can email them. I have email.
Okay.
Because I've been CC'd on,
As long as we
I get
follow up.
CC'd on,
Right.
Yeah.
on their stuff when I don't respond, but they're doing, Board of Health or Conservation Commission, I get CC'd on it, so I have all their
Okay.
contact information. I
Just wanna
can,
make- yeah,
I
just
can
wanna
send
make
out an
sure.
email and ask those questions. Even if you've contacted them, just give them a nudge to
Yeah.
respond to you.
What about building maintenance? Is that on your list too? I mean, do you have,
yeah, we haven't moved forward with it at all.
so
Still
is the
where we were.
bathroom, like the women's room in the town hall,
They
the,
don't- Well, we didn't get the grant or anything for that.
No, we did put in another grant to do just that we originally wanted to move some things around and do some other work to make that bathroom more palatable, but we did put in again for the actual physical work that needs to be done. But some of that is predicated on fixing that leak, because if we don't want to do all that work, I mean, I urge you gentlemen who haven't been in there when there's no one there to take a
Yeah.
look. The wall's coming down. I mean, we're literally got white powder, like it's bad. And so we've tried a couple of times. We'll see if we get this grant. If we don't, I mean, it's an article for town meeting next year. We have to fix it. But the problem is it's water coming in every
Right,
time
we're
it
gonna
rains.
come over at some point when we get slowed up a little. We gotta dig
Okay.
the old, caulking out. That's where we found the problem before,
Okay.
was in the corner of the building. It ponds on the top of the step and it runs over to, if you were walking up the steps to the left-hand side.
yeah.
And then eventually it makes its way down in and follows the pipes or whatever. But we did, at one time after running a garden hose for 2 days, found that's where it was.
Okay.
But I remember when we did the caulking as well, it was starting to get cooler in the fall when we finally found where it was leaking.
So it contracted.
Well, we're thinking that's what happened, so I want to dig all the old caulking out and clean it. But it's it's another one of those things that's going to have to be done on like a Friday or Saturday,
Yeah.
because there's several places that you got to do across where everybody's going to walk, so that we can close the steps down for like the weekend, so the caulking sets will be dry for a Monday
Gotcha.
morning.
Right, and we can't really do the repairs until we do that, because otherwise we'll repair it and then the water
I'm
will
just
come
worried
back.
about mold. I mean, that's
I-
a
No.
invasive.
I wouldn't look up behind
problem,
the
yeah.
ceiling, but
Right.
it's very bad, and it's
And
gotten.
we've been, other than that, we've been trying to run over, we've been in conjunction with the AC that got done last week.
Finished today.
Yeah, he actually called on me to come up so we could go over it, but I was down there doing the pipe job, so I couldn't leave. But, I mean, they've been a very good contractor, keeping in communication about it and everything.
That's good.
They showed us how to use them today. So I think we're done.
Yeah.
Nice.
And if there's a problem, he said call right away. So they've been good with that. And other than that, I've got we've done some work orders on a few different things. The library's got a few stumps or something they want taken out at some
Yeah.
point. And I think I actually just saw one tonight in my email that she got a drip on a faucet or something, I think, but we'll
Well,
take
that's
a look
what,
at it.
aren't we due to hire a fifth? Isn't there another opening based on the last time?
After
So that we
July
could
1st.
focus on, I mean, the whole proactive maintenance
Yeah.
part of buildings has always been a perennial issue.
Yep.
Just, I'm channeling Lois at the moment, so I remember her thoughts
Yep.
on that position, so I just want to make sure happy to see
No, we're
on.
trying to keep up with it. I mean, the only other big thing that we've had, and I did talk to Colleen this morning because that stove is acting up again.
Oh,
I
crap.
I was down there too. Her pilot goes out on the top, and I don't know why, but I went down, and as soon as you turn the thing and light them, and they light them all back up, the gas smell completely goes
Right.
away. So
But
the oven stayed lit.
Right, I think it's getting a backdraft on the new hood they put in from the chimney outside.
Oh.
That's the only, because it's happened, it only happens when we have a lot of wind. But when we've had a lot of wind, we've been monitoring, none of the windows or the doors, because they always, sometimes during the day, they'll leave the door open, so they thought it was blowing the pilots out. But it's supposed to kick the gas, trip the gas reset on the side, which
It's
because
not.
a couple of them are going and one's out, it just lets the gas go in, and then when people walk in, you can, especially when it was humid out last week. So today what I told her is she'll just have to call us because they needed to use it today, so we lit it. Ed came over yesterday and got it all going.
Okay.
They used it, but I told her that there's a little valve behind there, and I told her to shut it off when they were done. So when they go to use it again, that way it's not gonna, over a weekend, fill the smell of gas when everybody comes in Monday. It's horrific.
Right, and we can
scary.
light, I mean,
Yeah.
I
I'd
showed
be
her,
scared.
well, I showed her how you can light the
Right.
top. The biggest problem is lighting the oven.
Right,
'Cause
because
it's
you gotta get
underneath.
down and it's way underneath. You gotta hold
But
the
it-
button and reach way in.
But I
I
lit,
thought
Oh
we
my God, it
solved
sounds
all
like-
that. This is like a repeating
It was
thing.
It sounds
repaired.
like
It got repaired, but
so they
then-
work. Yeah.
But one side of that oven, I don't think they can get parts.
No,
for
we're
anymore.
working on it.
Yeah.
I know someone with the same oven who doesn't use one of the ovens, and I'm going to see if I can scavenge that part. It's the same Garland stove, and if they're not using that side of the oven, and maybe we can get that part, and then
So
both
we thought at
ovens.
first that's what was leaking, but the gas, the stove guy actually has that side of the burner isolated from everything else.
Okay.
But it's just one or two of the pilots go out, and then they sit there with that little gas just coming out. So
How old is the oven? Do you have any idea?
Oh, those stoves last forever. Those big industrial gas
I know, but it
stoves.
sounds like a really big liability issue to have gas pooling in the downstairs. I just
Oh.
was asking.
I think Colleen
not-
was looking around, but
It's
I don't know.
it's not a danger. They've even come over with a gas meter from the fire department, and it doesn't register. But it's a smell. It's just a smell. But there's no danger to anyone. But we're working on turning it off, and then the only
Right,
thing
it's
we
just
need
the,
help is lighting the
light.
oven.
I mean, if she only
The
needs the
top
top,
you can-
but the problem is if we don't
The
light
oven.
that bottom, then the bottom's leaking the whole time.
Right.
Well, the
even
smell
if
is
it was-
there for a
right.
reason.
Right.
It's added to make sure that
It's like
people
today
know
what
that
she
the gas
did,
is
because
leaking.
it smelled a little bit this morning, she said, when she called, and so she shut the swinging door and opened the back door in the window, so the smell just went out and didn't hover into the dining area or the hallway or whatever. So it's just, I mean, I know she said she was looking into it as well, so I told
We've been
her
talking about
if-
it.
if
I
we,
talked to her today.
Find
Okay.
anything out about it, just let us know.
Well, we can see what happens at the next update too, as long as it's getting attention.
Other than that, I mean, Isaac's been doing everything down there, and the fire department's done anything there. Like I said, we've done a few things at the library for Michigan, but other than that, we haven't had any work orders that have come in. So,
Yeah, at some point, I think when Heath is here in that subcommittee, we wanted
Right.
to get back to the proactive maintenance list. Yeah. I think that's a concern for the library as well, so.
Yep.
Okay.
And as far as getting you another person, maybe if Heath can't work with you, I'll work with you on.
On the committee?
Well, to try to get
He's
some
got
sort
an
of,
opening.
that's what I mean,
Yeah.
to get it written up, get it posted.
I think we're just waiting for the new,
First of the year, fiscal year.
1st of
Oh,
July.
okay.
Yeah,
All right. If you need any help with it,
All right.
just
Yeah.
let me know. Okay.
All right, that's all I got. Unless
Okay, thank you.
somebody else has anything.
Thank you.
no, it's good to know what's going on.
All right.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now we have citizens' concerns. There's quite a few people here. I mean, how many, usually it's 3, we limit it to 5 people at 3 minutes apiece, but how many people are here for citizens' concerns? Okay, it's about 6. Okay, so if we can keep it a minimum, a maximum 3 minutes, but if you can get it done less, that would be appreciated, so we don't go too long, okay? All right, who wants to come up first? Come on up.
Good evening, everybody.
Name and address and.
My name is Brian Bordner. I am from the famous Ashwell Road. And I've been a lifelong resident in Northfield for 68 years. I run the second oldest continuous operation in Northfield, the only industrial manufacturing operation left. My family will celebrate 65 years next year, and I've owned it for 38. I'm also the founder of the Northfield Taxpayers Protection Association, which is a community activism organization. Why I'm here tonight is to present a letter of request that has been signed by over 150 residents, and I'd like to present it to the Selectboard. And I'll read it to you. It is a request by the residents, taxpayers, for Selectboard vote. And at the top of the page, all these signatures, it says, the following signed request the Selectboard at the June 25th, 2024 meeting to vote not to renew the town administrator's contract. Now, I'm going to submit to you this list for your consideration. Part of citizenship is being able to come to your local government and tell them what you want. And 150 signatures in 5 or 6 days is significant. There was only 109 people at town meeting this year. And this is the basis for a very formidable block of voters. So I'm going to submit this to you.
Okay.
I'm under my 3 minutes, I'm sure.
You are.
My
I've
work
got the
is
clock,
done
got the
here.
clock running. Just so everybody knows, we can't comment on the citizens' comments because.
Correct.
Correct, just so anybody else too, we can't,
My work is done here. Thank
your
you.
work's done.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I have a point of order on that. Have those signatures been certified?
I don't know if they have.
As far as today, because I'm the town clerk, assistant town clerk, we have not certified any of those signatures. So they may be town residents or town voters, but it should be certified through our department. As all petitions are done that way.
So does the
Just saying.
citizen need to bring it to you then?
It should have come to the town clerk, and the town clerk goes through the voting records to make sure that they are actually voting members in the town of Northfield. Then it could be certified, just like nomination papers and any other petition to go through.
Okay,
Just point of order.
all right, thank you.
So do we need to hand it back?
Yeah, well, we're in an open meeting, right? So can he take it and do that, or is, I don't understand.
It's like a,
The problem is the office is closed.
oh,
We do not have hours tonight, so it'd have to be brought tomorrow at 9 o'clock,
Mhm.
and it could be certified at that point in time.
Okay.
I believe all members of the select board can call a point of order.
Well, we're,
This point of order, that's all.
yeah.
And then I would like to speak after that, if possible. If you want to go first, go ahead.
Yep, you're next. We'll. Can we put this in the mailbox down there?
Well,
Yes, you can.
Or if somebody on the select board wants to bring it in? No, just,
I think the citizen needs to,
well, I think he's already left.
Again, it should have come to the office of the town clerk.
Yeah.
okay. Good to know.
My name is Susan Wright. I live at 67 South Mountain Road. The Select Board should renew the employment contract with Town Administrator Andrea Lamas. I feel compelled to speak tonight because I've heard rumors that there are people in town who want the Select Board to vote not to renew the Town Administrator's contract. I feel uniquely qualified to give my opinion on this matter as I retired after 36 years in local government, having served towns in Franklin, Hampshire, and Hampden counties in the capacities of town administrator, school business manager, and city finance director. I know the skills required for an effective town administrator and have great respect for the ability of those who serve in these multifaceted jobs where you need to be knowledgeable about a huge range of municipal issues. There are few professional staff to rely on in small towns and a range of skills among the many volunteer boards and commissions, so it is imperative that the town administrator have experience and leadership abilities. I also served on the town administrator search committee when Ms. Lamas was hired in the fall of 2018. She was far and away the most qualified person we interviewed, and we were pleased she accepted the position in Northfield, especially given Northfield's histories with town administrators. Northfield had a revolving door of town administrators for many years before Ms. Lamas joined our staff here in Northfield. There were many town administrators and many interim town administrators and a host of issues due to the lack of continuity. Prior administrators were sometimes inexperienced, lacked people skills, and did not have strong employment history prior to coming to Northfield. The years of turmoil took a toll on the progress the town made on projects, budgeting, securing grant funds, administering fair and equitable personnel policies. There were many years of unhappy staff in Town Hall, and it was well known throughout Franklin County that Northfield was not a great place to work at times. In the past several years, with Ms. Lamas as our town administrator, Northfield has made great progress in many areas. She is professional and experienced. She has provided stability to the town and for the town hall staff. She has led with thoughtfulness and creativity. Anyone trying to discredit her record is uninformed. There appears to be a faction in town that do not understand the role of the town administrator, the select board, and the limits on what one member of a board can do without the full agreement of the board. One member of a board is not charged with directing the work of town staff and the town administrator. The board as a whole must be deciding town priorities, and the town administrator carries out those priorities, hopefully without interference from individual board members. It's very hard to find qualified staff in all areas of municipal government right now, as many of us have retired and left the field because of increasingly contentious actions of vocal minorities. Northfield would be foolish to think that they can find a new town administrator that would exceed the expertise and professionalism of Ms. Lamas. It takes years for a town administrator to fully learn the job and acquire the skills in multiple areas such as budgeting, capital planning, procurement, personnel policy, administration, municipal law, school administration, environmental and health regulations, and municipal finance. Northfield would be throwing away years of experience and history, and it would take a long time to get a new town administrator up to speed. Ms. Lamas' salary is in line with town administrators in Western Massachusetts and similar-sized town. Quoting salaries on ZipRecruiter is just ridiculous. They will not find anyone more qualified at a lesser salary. But if they do find someone to work at a lower rate of pay, it will absolutely be a person with less experience and someone more likely to be manipulated by board members who may overstep their authority. We need a strong professional in our small town, one who is not motivated by politics and agendas, and we have that. The Select Board should not jeopardize the stability and progress the town has made by ousting yet another town administrator in favor of saving money and/or having more control. Let the town administrator do her job with the direction of the 5-member Board of Selectmen. Don't return to the past and the instability of leadership that prevailed for years. Please vote to renew Ms. Lamas's contract.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dan Campbell, 863 Old Wendell Road. 20 years on the Finance Committee, Chairman of the Finance Committee, 10 years Town Clerk, 1 year Assistant Town Clerk. I have firsthand knowledge of the workings of the town. I've worked with many administrators for 20 years and or interim administrators. For the last, we had 3 actually administrators that the town decided that we needed an administrator. We have a $10 million business here. So you can't have somebody that's working part-time and doing the job correctly. Andrea's brought stability to that department. She has brought knowledge to that department. She has brought well over $1 million with the help of a grant writer that she suggested that we had. And besides other grants that we have, she has more than paid for her job over the last years of her service. In fact, I think she's about 5 times over what she's being paid. I think if you check what her percentage is, it's probably about 1% of her total budget. But for that 1%, she has gotten over several $1 million of free money from state and federal governments that we would probably not have had. So just, if you think that the job is that easy, she's there to help the Select Board to make sure they make the right decisions. Ultimately, the decisions that are made in this town, whether monetary or any kind of, well, basically monetary, are done by the people of the town of Northfield. If you look at some of the projects that are out there, and somebody complained that we spent X number of dollars on a piece of property for our service building, that was voted by the taxpayer of the town of Northfield. They were the ones that decided to purchase that property. There is nobody here that can purchase property without their knowledge. You guys can okay it once it's been done, but for some reason, someone has said that the town administrator has total control of the money. No, the town of Northfield has control of the money. You guys sign off every week to allow us to get paid. She doesn't do that. So the buck stops right here as far as doing that. But if you want your jobs to be done a lot easier, because you guys do not have the knowledge that's necessary to run this town. I just want to let you know that one of the worst decisions you could possibly make is not redoing her contract. And I say that, and I know the rest of the town employees that work in the town hall would agree with me today.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe Gravlin, Old Ferry Road, the oldest road in town, and the only damn house on it. Been living in town for 37 years, over 20 years on the Historical Commission. Real quick, I'm living in real time, around real people, and around real conversations. Now, our town administrator is not just our town administrator, she's our chief procurement officer. Now, a lot of folks are wondering why this desk costs so much money and why we didn't truly have a sense of what the negotiations were with purchasing this desk. We have a roll of paper up in the map room with a rubber band around it that cost us $1 million. That's $1,000 a day, 365 days a year for 3.5 years. Now, what happened that much money should have been generated to create that roll of paper? We were not part of that. It may have been voted in, but we were not part of understanding what the choices were as to who was going to draw up the design of that building and why it should have cost so much. A piece of property that was purchased to facilitate that emergency center was assessed in and around $36,000, and what did we pay for it? $178,000, something like that. We're trying to figure out where the discrepancies are coming in. And so what I'm saying is, I'm talking to real people in real time. The project should have been vetted through federal guidelines. And I remember when the planning board was having a conversation with the chief builder who was going to try to start the project by the following October of that conversation. I reminded him that he had obligations under Federal 106. He said, we don't have any obligations under Federal 106. I said, well, sure you do. You're going to have 2 curve cuts on a state highway. That state highway has had millions of dollars poured in it over the years, and it's a federal connection. That wasn't vetted into the process. That kind of stuff should have been looked at long before the maps were drawn up, long before the property was purchased, and it wasn't. And people stop me on the street and they say, well, what's that all about? I say, I don't know how to explain it to you because I have no answers, but I have no confidence as well. And I'm encouraging you not to renew the contract. There's another year to go, but I understand that you folks have to make a decision before the 30th. But I think we need to do a reset, and if this is the only chance to do a reset and a new conversation, I think it needs to happen. Real people are talking to me in real time. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
There's a river coming down on me.
What's that?
Can you see all the water?
Yeah.
Virginia Hastings, 30 North Lane. There are really 3 questions going on here. To not renew. The first one is to not renew. The second question is to not renew and at least review what you want in a contract. I think this contract has gone on since 2018, and things change a lot in 6 years. So I think it's important to review it again. Look at what other towns have for contracts. You know, I know you don't have time to do all the homework, but you know they do vary. They're pretty much boilerplate, the contracts, but there are certain details that they do add to it. One thing I would like, so the first thing is to not renew, the second one is to renew, and the other not renew, and review, and then renew, okay? And I think it would be important for all, I wish there were 5 members here, but 4 members to not renew at this point and review the contract. An important piece of the contract, I had it as a school teacher every 3 years, is a performance review. We all had them. I found it exciting because it would help me see what my strengths were and what my weaknesses were. I loved getting a pat on the back. That was really fun. And then I knew I need to look at this. I'm not communicating directly with kids in a way that I should have done a better job. So I found that enormously helpful for me. So in this case, I would at least like to see something like a performance review put into the contract.
It's in the contract.
Okay, thank you. How many more people we have? 2? Okay, if you can make it. That was very good. That was 2 minutes.
Tammy Pelletier, 122 Warwick Road. I was totally mystified by Mr. Graveline's statements about not knowing what's going on with the emergency service building and with the amounts of money that we voted on at town meeting in each increment, from studies to buying the property. That committee has been going on for over 9 years, and I think was well enforced before Andrea was even hired. So if he doesn't know what's going on, it's because he didn't pay attention. Anybody could have gone to all of those open meetings. And
I think it's a pity that it didn't pass. There was an awful lot of work involved in it. And it was a disappointment for a lot of people, but it was not any one person's decision. It was not any one person's expense agree. We did it as a town, and it was a disappointment, but it was not, there was no oligarchy involved. So, secondly, I was the chair of the previous town governance committee. We worked very hard to distinguish this position from the previous position of administrative assistant, which had several people in it. It was not that functional. There was a lot of chaos in that situation. So we voted, as the previous town governance committee had suggested, for a strong administrator. So that said, I think it was a good decision. I think both committees came to that conclusion, and I think the proof is in the pudding. I think Andrea has been an excellent town administrator, and I think you should renew her contract.
Thank you. Okay, one more.
Hi, Bernard Parada, 67 South Mountain Road, Northfield, Mass. I'm speaking as a private citizen. I'm still a member of the Finance Committee until June 30th, just so you're aware of the situation. I'm just a little surprised because I hear a petition has been put forward, but I hear no justification, no reasons, no clear-cut accusations of malfeasance or incompetence or a clear lack of coordination or between the select board and her position. And then I hear also a lot of false information, well, I should say false, I say lack of information, misconceptions on one person's part who brought forward about the public safety building or emergency services building. I was on that committee, and it still am, for 7.5 years. We approved everything unanimously in moving forward on that committee, on that building, the project, expenditures, everything. The Finance Committee approved it. The Select Board approved it. And so did the townspeople approve it. So, and as in the curb cuts, we were going through Mass DOT in the process of seeking permission for the curb cuts. We also, all boards were brought forward, planning, Concom, everyone. We had plenty of town public meetings. We had a most open process ever. Did the townspeople reject it? Yes. But they cannot blame Andrea Lamas for that. That blame, if they feel that it should be, then it should be apportioned to all of us. She was not the cause. We started this committee years before she even showed up here to be our town administrator. And again, I have not heard one reason, clear-cut reason, why she should not be reappointed or have her contract renewed or extended. I'm just appalled to say I have a petition for people, but no justification, no reasoning, nothing explained to any of us here in this audience, or you, the select board, reason why. And until that happens, I think this should be absolutely denied. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that ends citizens' concerns. As you know, we can't comment on that, on what's going on. There is other stuff in our agenda pertaining to it. That's all I can say. All right, let's get to review and approval of warrants. 6/26/24 payroll warrant of $88,954.52.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
Nope, no. I didn't, is that the one that was
Yeah.
missing its sheet? The payroll was?
It's payroll.
This is dripping or spewing.
Spitting a little.
It's
The condensation can
Yeah.
turn the,
Okay.
change the temperature.
Building and utilization committee that was disseminated. Whatever happened to that group? They handle the maintenance and buildings and stuff. There's crumbling walls in the women's bathroom.
That maintenance position, we've had a hard time keeping somebody in that position from
There was
the,
a committee
That's-
before that was
Oh.
designated
Let's
due to
move,
the lack of.
let's
Okay.
move on.
okay,
That's why we have the highway superintendent update us.
all right. Any,
I move that
It's
we
okay to
approve.
have it on, it's just, I
Okay.
just didn't want it dripping on the computer.
I move that we approve the June 26, 2024 vendor warrant of $113,123.54, which
we
is...
didn't vote on the.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right, sorry.
Payroll,
I was hoping we
any
were
other
moving
comments on the
forward.
payroll warrant?
No.
No.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, go ahead, Dee.
Okay, sorry about that. So when we get interrupted, then it's...
The 6/26/24 vendor
Vendor
warrant of $113,123.54. It's highway.
So moved.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
That an aye, David?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Make
So
sure
you
we
got
get
three. Okay.
Okay.
I move that we approve the vendor warrant of July 1st, 2024 of $285,529.90, and this is for county retirement.
That, just so you know, that's because it's the first warrant for fiscal '25. She won't mail it, but she's processing it to mail on the first day.
Gotcha.
We
Is
get
the
a discount if we pay it in the first so many weeks.
Okay.
Discounts are good.
So moved.
Is the
Moving
entirety, oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
We haven't gotten to the question.
Oh, any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Is the entirety of that vendor warrant county retirement?
I believe so. You have the
Yes.
warrant over there, but I
I-
believe
I
it's one
haven't-
payment.
Yeah.
It's
one of
not
them.
in this one, it's,
The green one, maybe?
No, there's others besides the county.
Is there a few other things in there?
Short one, but.
Yeah, it's a short
The,
one.
the bulk of it is county retirement.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, could you tell me who the second was on that?
I think it was David.
David?
I was the second.
I did the so moved, and then David did the so moved again, but...
Just backing up.
Who's on first?
Yeah. Any other comments?
Nope.
No.
All those in favor of approving the 7/1/24 vendor warrant?
Aye.
hi.
Okay,
Yay for discounts.
yeah. All right.
All right, I move that we approve the executive session.
Economic development has a lot to do with changing the quality of life in a town. In order to do that, people need to earn a good wage in a town. What we have in Northfield right now is a lot of, what's the term?
Houses?
Creamies, the creamy,
Small businesses?
yeah, small bit, but, no, the wage is not a living wage, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And what the business park offers is an opportunity to possibly create add more businesses to town and create living wages. There's a way to get at other problems that the town has through that as well. Like, for instance, this town is not exactly family friendly in terms of children and parents. There's not much housing that's available for families. I don't know many housing starts in the area, but the business park possibly could also house some family housing as well. So it is a long-term goal. It is a very onerous goal to go towards, but it's a very important goal for this town and its future.
Patricia?
I am taking the angle of recreation and fun seasonal projects. So these are some ideas with regard to recurring seasonal events so people can look forward to them. What comes to mind is how I love going to the Ashfield Fair or to the Garlic Festival, and these different towns are known for things. So I want to get Northfield known for fun things to come to as well. So that's sort of the trail I was on and doing these things. So the first is a taste of Franklin County, which I don't know if any of you been to a taste of Amherst, whereby we get local restaurants from Franklin County and or food trucks of the surrounding towns to gather together and basically have a food party. Also, it would give the opportunity for startup businesses, like Franklin County CDC supports financially, to introduce their food. What comes to mind is there was a hard cider company, there was a pickle company, but it also allows them to come out and meet the people of Franklin County and introduce what food they have in their particular industry. Thinking we would include Greenfield Guild Turners, but we would be like the host, we would be the come-to people. The second one would be a harvest festival where we honor the farmers in our community and the surrounding area, where we would have a gathering of all the different farmers, whether or not they wanted to sell things, all their food, their produce for the harvest, and maybe we have a harvest feast where people volunteer to cook or we do a major potluck. I don't know, I haven't worked the details out, but the objective would be to do this before the end of August, before school reconvened, as everybody getting together to kick off the end of the summer and back to school sort of thing. We could have entertainment there. The high school kids do face painting and games with the small children, and have, food trucks, music, that sort of thing. And then the third thing I was thinking of was an old-fashioned holiday skate party where we could figure out where we would either build the skate or maybe ask the golf course if they'd let us do it there. That's something to discuss. Bonfire, hot chocolate games, hay rides up and down Highland Avenue. Thinking that would be great the weekend of Thanksgiving, like Saturday or Sunday, and maybe be able to correlate that with the different bazaar fairs that they're having at the local churches in town. So it's a festive occasion. So anyway, those are just some of the ideas that I would love to see put into motion so that we have little seasonal activities for people to do and draw them into Northfield to spend money.
Very important.
And something that I was thinking about that I think we could do that's low hanging fruit, for lack of a better term, is really like put together and expand on resources that might already exist, like guides and maps that we already have that point folks in the direction of different farms in the area where you can purchase fruit and vegetables. Right now, we already have the Agricultural Commission years ago put together an amazing guideline, a nice big map of all of the different farms in the area. Yes, that.
And it has farms listed on the back that sell directly to the public and ones that don't sell. Really nice.
Yeah. But I think it'd be worth spending some time to reconnect with some of the farmers in the area and see what their needs are, if there's things we can support them with, if they're interested in having their business promoted, if they have open hours that we can put together on a pamphlet to guide visitors to town to different farm stands where they might sell things on site. We also discussed as a group, convening some farmers in town to see if they're interested in perhaps opening up their doors for one day a year where we can bring visitors in to come and tour. There was some conversation, I guess, previously that we learned about where someone had the idea of, having more open space for visitors to come onto a lot of the different local farms, and not all of the farmers were really psyched about that. Yeah. So,
but one day a year, right?
Yeah. So, we were thinking much as there's, folks who come from all over the state and a portion of the region to come over for asparagus day or asparagus festivals, or there's a pottery trail that people come and follow, trying to think of something in that kind of a vein to maybe promote and bring folks, visitors into town. But overall, I think what we've all discussed that we've also found was really, curated and put together really well in the 2014 master plan. Also from the study that Leslie put together, is still a need and a desire from a lot of residents is preserving and promoting a lot of the natural resources we have here, and promoting recreation that we have at our fingertips. We're really lucky to have so much beautiful open space, promoting the farmers and agricultural industry that we have here. We have a lot of rich history here as well, and there is, of course, I think a need to further support and incentivize other small businesses to come into Northfield. like Steve said, there's definitely room for jobs. We've lost a lot of jobs in this town over the last few decades. We do still have most of our workers in town is still heavily rely on the education sector. So I think there's some support maybe that we can look at there as well, and how do we support the workers we have already today, and their needs and their advancement opportunities that they might want to take advantage of. But overall, I think we are very lucky. We have a lot of beautiful natural historical resources here, and I think it's very clear that the town wants to preserve those things. And I think there's ways to promote economic development sustainably, and to preserve the natural character and rural character of the town. And that's really what I think a lot of us, brings a lot of us together is doing that.
And a couple of individual ideas that we've talked about that are kind of my focus. We talked about a flotilla, a once a year inner tube as a town on our new boat, using a new boat ramp. Shakespeare in the Park, buried electric down Main Street because it's better for the infrastructure and for appearance reasons and historical, and work removing the invasives for better access to conservation properties. Currently, the list of the main project that we're working on as a group is the Guide to Northfield, and we're using. As I held up this, I'm coding the maps right now. It's the kind of thing that takes a while and then it just kind of comes out full formed. But we're using to make the flyers that we've seen from other departments. For instance, Open Space has this of the different trails. So one of the maps in our Guide to Northfield would be the bike trails, the walking trails that are done by other people, but they're amalgamated together so that it's a resource for tourists. We've talked with the Northfield Bird Club, and they have bird sightings that we can add as links onto these maps. Another map would be farm stand and food sources, which we could use the Ag Committee. Another would be historical buildings, and the bike and hiking routes. So those are our individual and our group ideas. We also went through and looked, there were proposed goals and objectives when the committee was formed, and those were going to be changed, and we went through and looked at how we had met or not met those goals and objectives. And we have met or addressed all of them. The one that is less addressed is the update economic development webpage to include helpful resources for prospective business owners. So that's an area that we can improve going forward. We do have from the grant consultants, they're producing data on open businesses in the town and open land, and they've agreed to share data. So we'll have that to to add to that prospective business owners guide, that people can know what kind of properties are available. So I can go. I know we've run a little long with our time, but I do have kind of a play-by-play on that list of prospective goals and objectives. I don't know if we want to go over it now, Chair, or not. Do you want to look over it, or?
Not at the moment. We've got quite a bit to go.
Yeah.
You're gonna probably be back in another month, because I have some things I want to discuss. So
On economic development?
yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
On the committee.
Can I just say one thing, that there are two consultants out there from Western Mass Area Development.
West Mass.
Feasibility
West Mass,
study.
and they're doing a feasibility study on the business park.
A business park. Yeah.
A business park, right. And they're planning on having a September citizens input meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to give that commercial.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, any
Thank you.
questions for them or anything? Like I said, I wrote some questions down, but I think when you come back, I will. At this time, Leslie asked to speak, so I'd like to invite Leslie up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
The AC was spitting on me, so that's why I moved over. In fact, you got the wrong name in front of you.
Oops.
Be able to figure it out.
At least you can feel it. I can't feel it over here. So
Right out. Is it?
I'm going to start sweating.
It's no longer spitting. Hi.
Hi, Leslie.
I am the Grant Development Director. And I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about my experiences with the Economic Development Advisory Committee because I believe that I have information that is relevant to today's presentation. The first committee meeting I attended was on my 5th day of work. At the meeting, Sarah asked me to talk about the grants currently operating in Northfield, and I wasn't able to provide much information without my laptop in front of me, so I left the meeting feeling like I hadn't been very useful. I did tell the group about the grant, funding a business park feasibility study, and I offered to put them in touch with that project's 2 consultants.
Gentlemen, it's a bit disruptive.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I made sure to prepare for the next committee meeting I was invited to, creating a 2-page grant memo that I sent to the members a week in advance, along with an invitation to a listening session hosted by the business park consultants. Twice over email, I asked the committee members to share their questions ahead of the meeting so that I could be better prepared. Not hearing back, I assumed the memo had been enough. On the day of the meeting, there were 9 town residents also in the audience, as well as the director of planning for the FERCOG. This was surprising to me because there had only been the 5 group members at the previous meeting I attended. At the conclusion of my presentation, Sarah and Steve accused me of excluding their committee from the business park project by not asking them before setting the listening session date and not sending the consultants to talk to them at one of their meetings. I was surprised by their statements because I had twice made attempts to introduce them to the consultants. I didn't yet know that Steve and Sarah had both already met the consultants before I did at a kickoff meeting in February. The consultants had actually offered to come to an economic development meeting, but never heard back from the chair or any of the members. After that meeting in April, I was surprised and frustrated. I felt like I had been set up to be reprimanded in front of town residents and people that I hadn't met yet. But I convinced myself that I was overreacting. I later found out that the day before the meeting, Sarah had posted on Nextdoor saying, "If you would like more information about the grants Northfield is currently administering, please join the NEDAC meeting on April 24th. Our new grant coordinator will be joining us. Bring your questions and opinions." She did not inform me that I should prepare for questions from residents, despite my attempts to reach out before the meeting. A few weeks later, Steve approached me in town hall to talk about that meeting, saying, "That was the strategy we decided we wanted to take with you." He also mentioned Mallory, the previous grant development director, and said, "She may have gotten a leg up, but I think she understood her role by the time she left here." A few weeks later, Jinx approached me in the parking lot after work. She told me that the committee had felt that Mallory was concealing things from them. I found these conversations unsettling for multiple reasons. I have found Mallory to be an extremely forthcoming and knowledgeable person who has been generous with her time when answering my questions about this role. Other town employees and residents have also spoken highly of Mallory, saying that she was a pleasure to work with and a significant asset to Northfield. Additionally, I didn't understand the dynamic that Steve, Sarah, and Jinx were referring to. It had been Mallory's idea to create the Economic Development Advisory Committee. As with most other town committees, the group consists of volunteers who meet at most once a week for a few hours. It makes sense that a full-time employee of the town would be responsible for managing grant applications and ongoing projects. And it seems reasonable that the employee would not be expected to consult an advisory committee prior to taking action in their professional role. After these conversations, I became wary about attending future committee meetings, and I thought that laying low could help. But then the April meeting minutes were posted. In addition to containing inaccurate information, they are written to make me seem uninformed, obstinate, and dismissive of people's concerns. Shortly after that, I had a meeting with someone I'd never met before from Thomas Aquinas College, who told me that they had already heard of me after my name was brought up at an Economic Development Advisory Committee meeting, and not in a good way. Realizing that I was being discussed at committee meetings when I wasn't there caused me a great deal of stress, and meeting minutes indicate that this has happened multiple times. These experiences seemed to represent a larger issue that preceded me, and also showed me that the behavior wouldn't stop even if I stopped going to their meetings. I began to feel like I had very few options. I didn't think that I could stop going to the meetings without being accused of shutting the group out of projects or having them discuss me behind my back. Altogether, these interactions have negatively impacted my job satisfaction, well-being, and ability to focus, all during my first 3 months in this role, when I'm already experiencing the stress that comes with navigating a new job. In mid-May, I reached out to the chair, Sarah, over email to ask if we could meet to discuss these incidents and make a plan for communication moving forward. She responded by saying she didn't understand the need for such a meeting, and then put me on the committee's next agenda for a monthly update, despite the fact that I had specifically requested to not attend any future meetings until we had a chance to talk. I have also witnessed this pattern affecting other people. One of our grant-funded consultants was invited to attend a committee meeting and was unaware that Sarah had posted on Nextdoor inviting residents to come give their feedback about a business park in a residential neighborhood. He later said that he was not expecting the tone of the meeting, where he had been questioned by frustrated committee members and town residents. The other consultant then called me after the meeting minutes came out because she was concerned that they contained inaccurate information and quotations from her business partner who was on paternity leave. Consultants can decide they do not want to work with us if they don't like the way that they're being treated. In this way, the behavior of certain Economic Development Advisory Committee members is now threatening the economic vitality of the town. I debated whether or not to talk about these experiences publicly, but I'm concerned that more harm would be done if I didn't say something. For these reasons and more, I thought it was essential to bring these concerns to the Select Board. Thank you for taking the time to let me speak about my experiences.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say one thing, that Leslie has come to me on multiple occasions, and I've tried to give her some good advice. She's tried to go on strike it on her own. She's a very independent person. She wanted to reach out to people and try and manage those situations and make those connections on her own. But I have supported her in saying that she absolutely should not attend those meetings if she is going to be treated as a staff person in such a way. And she has documented very well the behavior. And at this point, I think if you review the minutes, you'll see that they coincide with everything that she has said. And I feel it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that Mallory tried to create a committee that was supportive of her role and the future role and the town's economic development. But in all honesty, has sort of been weaponized against the two people in that position. And I feel very strongly that that's not fair to do to the staff by a volunteer committee that was appointed by the Select Board to actually be advisory, with no real authority to give orders to the staff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've been directly addressed. May I speak, Chair?
Okay, I'll speak after.
Okay, that's fine. So I felt like there were several inaccuracies in what Leslie said, but per the minutes, I mean, the minutes are brought before the whole committee that was present at the meeting and are voted on and approved by the whole committee. So if that wasn't, it's about what happened in the meeting. And so I don't understand the talk about inaccurate, because we talked about it and went over those minutes. But as to, I mean, announcing that things are happening and meetings that are happening, these are open meetings. These are open town meetings. In fact, so much so that the door has to be open at an open town meeting. So I'm being surprised that people attended an open town meeting and being upset about it. I don't understand. And you asked me to meet, but you didn't. I don't feel, I can check the emails, but it was about communication moving forward. It wasn't about some bad thing that had happened.
I have the
And I
emails
said-
printed out.
Okay, great. And I said, because when I asked you to come to a meeting, and you said, before we do that, I want to meet. And I said, okay, and I told you a meeting like a month or so ahead of time.
It's not what
And
happened,
then
and I have
we-
the emails to show it.
Okay, that's fine. And we're disagreeing because, and then I said, hey, and you said, do you want to meet? You wanted to meet one-on-one, and I said, I'd rather have a second. And in fact, the last communication was, you could, if you were coming to the meeting, you would come ahead and we would meet before the
It was
meeting.
not the last communication we had. I responded to your email after that. That was at least a week and a half ago. If anybody would like clarification on the sequence of events, I do have those emails printed out. It's very clear that since I reached out in mid-May, it took multiple responses to even get Sarah to respond to me. I was very clear about my desire, why I wanted to meet, especially when she asked for clarification. I thought it was the mature thing to do to try and meet with her one-on-one as chair and grant development director to talk about our goals. I made that very clear. I'm happy to show the information if it's helpful.
Okay, thank you, but you had a chance to talk. Now I'm going to talk. And I didn't also, I don't really understand, I don't understand about the telling the people in the, we just asked you to come update. And in fact, several people in this room were at those meetings. So there wasn't any ordering or bossing. And with the grant stuff, I said, hey, could you come do the grant? And you said, do you want me to present on some other data? And I said, no, just bring a grant update. So I don't understand why that was surprising to bring a grant update. And we didn't have any questions about the grants because you were coming to update us. So the talk, the back and forth communication, I don't understand. And we requested a grant update, and then you said, do you need a grant update, or do you need something else? And I said, no, we want a grant update.
None of that last part happened, but
Well, no, that's the.
Are you
there are
finished?
also
'Cause I
the
do
emails.
want to respond to
No,
other
but I
things you
feel
said.
okay. So also, is this on the agenda?
Yes,
Okay,
it's part of discussion. That's why I put it discussion here.
got it.
And just
Okay.
to be very clear about my surprise, I understand that these are public meetings. In fact, I was excited to see other people there because I just thought they were interested in economic development and came to hear about the grants. I didn't realize that they had been there, asked to be there to ask me questions explicitly in the post on Nextdoor. And my frustration is not with town residents asking me questions, it's that I reached out twice before the meeting, exactly a week before and one day before, saying, could you let me know if you have any questions as a committee? I'd love to come prepared. That either of those would have been great opportunities to tell me that it had been posted on Nextdoor and I could expect town residents to come and ask me about questions about grants specifically, because none of the other agenda items for that meeting were posted about on Nextdoor. Just my grant update.
Because everybody really wanted to know about the grants. I apologize that you felt surprised by that, but I don't understand why having town citizens. Steve?
Steve, can you just have the chair back? I'm uncomfortable with the way you're sitting.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
It's not intimidating.
I need to say
Are you
something
going to
because
recognize him?
there's
have to
more to
recognize
this.
him.
Hey,
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's part of the committee.
Are you
and-
done?
he hasn't been recognized by the chair.
Have you been recognized yet? Have you, are you
Yeah,
done?
yeah.
Okay.
Circus.
My name come up, so I'm here, and I think I can throw some light on this. I'm sorry that I made her beginning days difficult too, but there was a predecessor. And that predecessor, how do I put this?
We need to
We-
be careful, I'm just gonna say, we need to be careful about talking about employees in
Oh,
public.
okay, all right.
So be careful
Okay.
about how you say things. Say it from your perspective, but we are not talking about other people,
I will not talk.
okay? Especially employees, that's actually against
Even
the law.
even
in
former
public.
employees.
I've been
Just be careful, Steve, please.
state employee for many years, and I understand what you say.
Yeah,
Okay? And this town doesn't always follow those.
yes, we do.
Well, not the previous,
You mean the revolving doors of town
Yeah.
administrators prior to this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I would agree with that.
but there was a predecessor, and the NEDAC committee began meeting, and I wouldn't say we got the blessing necessarily of this body. Not the same makeup. Don't do that. Don't please do it.
What?
Don't furrow your brow, please.
So
Well,
you're talking to the board, not
Okay.
not to individuals.
Okay, so we were told that we would be able to work on economic development, and the group began to meet, and Joan and I run the only bed and breakfast in town now. So at a certain point, a man came up to us, a guest in our house, and said, I'm not talking about anybody employed here. He came up and he said, we've been hired to work on economic development in Newtown. Now think about that for a minute, okay? We were meeting as an economic development committee. However, advisory, and we stress that, don't we? And we find out that there's consultants in the area working on town's economic development. Now, we were surprised, and we told them that we were surprised, because we never heard of this, okay? And let me be clear, he never heard of us either. He never heard that Northfield had an economic advisory committee. So we came back to the committee and we talked about that. We talked about the fact that what is the division of labor between the people on our committee and these consultants working in the towns in the area too on economic development. We didn't understand what was going on in there, okay? And we brought it up, and the committee had, I think, a consensus about being unhappy with what happened there. That these consultants were never told about the fact that we existed.
So I sat in on the initial meeting with Mass West.
No. That's not what he's talking about.
This is a different.
Oh, is that the BSC ones?
Before
We
this
have
committee
two
was
different efforts
before
going.
this committee was formed, before your committee was formed, the town was selected to participate in a pilot program with three communities, and they were going to be working on a pilot project to talk about how to theoretically do economic development in small towns. It was not economic development in Northfield or economic development projects in Northfield.
That's not how this man presented himself out here.
Well, this was a FERCog run program. They were administering it. We were just simply participating in the work. And so they were going around to different communities. They did, in fact, hold a meeting. We held a meeting at the library.
You and Jinx were at the library meeting. I was there.
No,
Patricia was there before she got onto the committee.
Yes, that was a meeting held.
That
I
was
don't
that
know if
group
all
in
of
the
you.
basement of the library.
Yes, so that was a completely different.
Jinx suggested
study.
multiple food trucks to the. I mean, there were several ideas that came up as a result of that. one.
So that wasn't. They weren't hired to do economic development in Northfield. I just want to clarify that study predates this committee.
That's not what he understood, and that's not what he said to us.
I don't know what he said to you, but
So, to get back to here, to the present situation here, we wanted to avoid the same situation with the new grant writer. We wanted to make sure that there was some kind of division of labor or communication between the committee and us. This doesn't sound familiar, I told you this.
I'm smiling because this is exactly what I just said. This is exactly what you told me in the hallway. And the concerning piece of it is that you specifically said to me, and I know this is correct because I went to my phone and I wrote these notes down immediately after our conversation. You said to me, this was the strategy we decided we wanted to take to you. And it is, once again, astounding that a town committee comprised of volunteers who meet at most once a week would think that the division of labor is arranged in such a way that the grant development director, which is a full-time position, I am here 4 days of the week for 10 hours every day, would need to consult the committee before taking action. That is the part that makes no sense. It made no sense when you talked to me about it then, and it
I
still
don't think
makes
that
no
was
sense.
ever the feeling. We just wanted to be kept in the loop.
I never said that.
And we said those words, keep in the loop.
Revisionist history here.
Okay.
This is not what I said to you. I said
That's
to you,
enough.
we did not want to come into a collision
All
course
right.
again.
Okay,
And here we
that's
are.
enough now, and now I'm gonna speak. Okay? First of all, I was shared a longer letter that Leslie had sent to the town administrator detailing this stuff. I found it really disturbing, and frankly, I was pissed, when I read it. The fact that I called the consultants and they didn't have kind words to say about the behavior of the committee. They said that the committee was aggressive to them, that they felt they were combative, and they were, they said they hadn't experienced that. They were coming in to present what they had, and they felt like the committee was trying to shoot down their work.
I'm sorry, can I ask something? Say, what consultants are we talking about here?
Mass Work.
Mass West.
Mass West.
West Mass.
West Mass.
West
We always get that
West
back.
Mass.
West.
I called them and talked with them.
We've had very good, you're talking about me too?
I'm just talking to committee in general.
All right, we had very good conversations with Joan and myself. We told them about the history of economic development stuff that was going on. We were very excited about what the task they were doing. That the business park is a very exciting project, and we told them that we wanted to support them.
Okay, I'm gonna
That's
finish.
all.
I'm gonna finish, and then we're done. Okay. My biggest concern is we tout being an employer of choice, and I don't want employees feeling like this. We gotta work to not everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has to work.
This goes
And
back to-
I support Leslie 100%.
Yep.
And as a result of that, like I said, I'm going to cut off the conversation now, and in a couple meetings down the road, we'll invite you in again, and the select board, when we have more time, will address some of the issues, such as revisit the mission statement, revise the goals and objectives, maybe make some guidelines. We want things to be clear. I don't want this happening again with any employee. The fact that I knew there was some friction with Mallory, and we even talked about that at a meeting, that Mallory said, I'm full-time, I can't wait for your committee to run things by you before I make a decision. I remember that at a select board meeting. We talked about something, and no, I'm speaking. And she said, I can't wait to talk with a group that meets every couple of weeks to discuss something. So like I said, I'm very disturbed, and actually will bring up the reappointment of the Economic Advisory Committee, and I will be voting, just to let you know, I will be voting not to reappoint anyone at this time until we've had another meeting and we get some clear guidelines and make sure this doesn't happen again.
I'd like to add to our agenda on this topic for the next time that we discuss appointment of a different select board representative on that committee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And I will make a motion right now. If you want to make a motion to reappoint your
I
committee?
thought we were going to wait until we talk about it.
No, it's reappointments on the agenda.
Well, we don't have to act on it.
Well, we can postpone.
I think your message is really clear, Bernie, and I appreciate
No,
it.
I'm not voting to reappoint at this time. I was very disturbed. I was friggin' pissed, to tell you the truth. Even Karen says I was more pissed than she is most times. So.
That's saying something.
Yeah, and she's very,
well,
gets involved in things and gets and takes things personal. So I take this very personal, and I think we need to, I'm motion to postpone reappointments of the Economic Development Advisory Committee until we can meet again and have a discussion.
Second. It's at your discretion when you put it on the agenda
Mhm.
too.
It is. All those in favor of postponing reappointments?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Okay,
Thanks for taking the time.
thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. We'll be moving on now.
All right.
Okay, we have the Northfield ambulance staffing. Sorry it took so long, but
Well, I appreciate that you all waited for this.
if you could have, if you had to leave, we would put it.
Well, we've answered 5 calls since the start of the meeting.
I know.
But we have 2 trucks out on the road doing calls. So
Okay.
this is more your agenda item. I'm here if there's
Any questions?
questions or anything that I can answer from ours. Andrea and the board already have their information that they need. I'm just here if there's any questions.
No,
that
Caitlin
you need
volunteered to come.
Now,
Yeah, we appreciate
as of July 1st, we were looking at having 3 full-time paramedics.
Right.
That's in your budget.
So there's a couple of things you have to decide so that we can move forward on that. I mean, obviously, you have Rebecca,
Mhm.
who's on staff.
Yay.
And you now have Todd, who you've appointed to
Yay.
full-time, and he's on staff.
Yes.
So what's left is a third position, and there's been some discussion about whether or not that's a full-time position as chief. And that's what the discussion we have to have is, are we advertising a chief full-time paramedic, or are you going to be going with a full-time paramedic and some sort of administrative chief? Those would be 2 separate people, and I've consulted with the department. There's been some discussion from the task force about this in the past.
Correct.
And some discussion when I was talking with the current administrative chief when we were doing the budget back in the past. And so I just wanted to kind of lay that out. I kind of gave you the budget and give you kind of the pros and cons maybe of going both ways. But the reason we need the select board to take direction on that now is because we really need to get that job out and advertised, because technically we won't even have anybody in it as of July 1st.
Yeah, we have 2 now, right?
We have 2 full-timers. Well, one starts July 1st, but he's
Right.
essentially working full-time now.
Right, we did that earlier.
But that third position starts July 1st, plus we have to deal with whether or not it's advertised as a full-time paramedic level chief position, because we really do want to get that person in as one way or the other as soon as July 1st hits, because the money's in the budget and we're leaving a gap there where they could really use the support of getting that person, the full-time position, filled now. So
Can you just clarify also the discussion that we had with the task force about
Yes.
overnight coverage as well?
correct.
And-
One of the problems has been that because you only had one full-time person, she couldn't work daytime and nighttime.
24/7?
That's right.
24/7, 365.
Right. And so we have had a couple of people who've stepped up and are working quite a bit, one of whom we've now recognized with an actual full-time position, but that's still only 2 people. And you usually take 2 on a truck, so you're usually calling someone. But the overnight has always been increasingly hard to staff. So one of the ideas about having at least a third position is there would be some flexibility within the department for them to work on staffing at a different model, at a different level.
Mhm.
You know, put all 3 people on daytime all the time. That's just not going to work. So we want to get that third position staffed as quickly as possible. And the question has been, and it was always part of the question when we were doing the budget, and that's why we split it the way we did,
Mhm.
as to whether or not it would be a chief position, because we could take the director's salary and add it to a full-time position and come up with probably what would be a fairly good chief full-time position. We have looked at those job descriptions. I've actually worked with Becca, who's the consultant.
Mhm.
She's pulled those job descriptions, so we have some sense of that. So the idea, basically you have 2 options. You have full-time paramedic administrative chief, and you have full-time administrative chief paramedic. In other words, all wrapped in one. So again, we're working on that with the consultants, so I'm hoping that, you know, we just redid the job description, so they're pretty current. The pros of hiring a full-time paramedic chief is that they're very immersed in the department. So they're not removed from that by just doing administrative work. They can determine, and then as part of the job description, we can determine the number of administrative hours versus clinical hours versus, you know, so we say, okay, you're administrative chief, you have 5 hours a week to do administration. But that allows them to come in, get the budget set, get the captains in order on what their roles and responsibilities are, start cross-training.
The billing and all of that.
Correct, you
Yeah.
know, ordering supplies, who's in charge of medicines and all that. And that person is not only your administrator, but is actually on staff, on call, seeing what's happening, understanding the dynamic. So that's the pros of that position. Splitting them, theoretically you get another person who's just doing the administrative work, but the con is they're not quite as involved in the day-to-day of the department, going out on calls, working with the other paramedics and being a hands-on part of that team in a different way than being removed sort of in an administrative capacity, which may even come in and do administrative work when there's not much staff going on in the building. So they add a little bit of time, I suppose, to the paramedic position, but they lose that connection to the paramedic base, the people actually doing the work day to day by not being working with them on calls. So what we're really looking for is for the select board to kind of give direction on which way you guys want to go. I've spoken with Mark, who's currently doing administrative. I've spoken with members of the EMS staff. We've spoken with the consultants to try and get a full sense. That's why I wanted to present to you the pros, the cons, and get a sense from the board if you have any questions. I know some of the preferences for some of those different entities, and whether that's relevant to you or whether you want to hear those, that's fine. I'm willing to share those. But I didn't know what questions you guys might have right from the beginning here on that choice.
The cost between the two versus the one.
Well, we put 50,000, we put in the director's salary as a separate cost. So if you took the paramedic level salary and added that director's amount, you
So
should
there would
have
be
enough.
no economic difference between having the two versus having
That's what we anticipated when we split. We split them for
right.
budgeting purposes because we didn't know how it was going to go.
Right.
But the idea was they could easily be combined to hire one person
Right.
into that position.
Okay.
Yes. And you still have an assistant director's salary in there as well for that position to continue.
And this was all discussed with the task force too. That's how we came up with the model to begin with and why the FY25 budget was developed the way it was developed.
And it was discussed at Finance Committee to some extent when we went through Finance Committee to talk to, because this budget changed and it, you know, obviously has these full-time positions in it. Where we only had one the year before, so it
So
was
we'd
pretty
have to
high
advertise for a full-time
Correct.
chief.
Correct.
Okay.
That would be, we gotta go one way or the other, we gotta advertise, and then
Yeah.
the committee meets tomorrow, the task force meets tomorrow. So we could have the discussion based on what you guys come up with, and then I would like to advertise right away, so we can get that person on board as quickly as possible.
Does the task force have an opinion about this, or are they just waiting for direction?
The task force went back and forth on the pros and cons, much like I've discussed with you. I think they felt because they're an employee of Northfield, they weren't going to make that decision because it is right now it is a Northfield department. The select board should make that decision.
Yeah.
But they understood the pros and cons. The report that came out from the last round of working with the consultant was very clear that one way or another there needs to be more administrative support. Hence the idea of incorporating a position, even if they're a paramedic, that they would also have some administrative duties one way or another. We also have added $10,000 for like a secretarial administrative position. So it's not like this chief has to drop 20 hours into administration. They would have certainly as a chief or director certain responsibilities, but actually there's $10,619 for 520 hours a week, which is 10 hours a week, to assist them. So we built into this, even if you go with the chief full-time paramedic, an additional 10 hours a week of administrative support for them to be able to pass certain tasks off. That might be taking email messages, answering phones, posting things,
Okay.
all the kinds of things, processing bills.
Only for a combined, so that's only.
No, you have it for both, but we knew that if we combined it, we wanted to give it that support, that level of support as well, specifically.
And then the department as it is currently constructed, does it have an opinion, one way or the other?
They were leaning towards a chief who has clinical combined position, because they saw the advantage of that person being on the ground at the scene with them, working with them, to have a strong sense of the team and operating with them on the ground, the needs. So that was.
Currently, we're a small department. We're 20 people, or a little more than 20, and we can't really lose one person to administrative only. We need boots on the ground, staff in the trucks, and we're in a pivotal growth point with the select board growing it out that we can decide what you guys want for the future and where you want us to build and grow.
Oh, wait, you're on your call volume from 2020. So in
my
4
first year
years,
as assistant chief, we did 300 calls, and now we're
probably going to hit 1,200.
Yeah, if not more.
So that's 4 times the volume. So,
Okay.
looking for a strong administrative team, some administrative support, but at the same time, somebody who's involved in the department, boots on the ground, working with them.
So question, if we go that route, how do we see the overnight working?
I think that the departmental, that has to be structured with the new chief. And the chief will have to,
Yeah.
and maybe it's
Okay.
rotating shifts, so nobody has just nights, but maybe everybody's picking up a night
Okay.
and they're rotating it. I think that a good.
So that was discussed.
a
I
good
just want to make
chief-
sure that was discussed as well.
A good chief with
Okay.
administrative abilities would be able to say, okay,
Yeah.
guys, we need to figure this out. Maybe no one's taking nights all the time. Maybe someone
Right.
wants nights all the time. You never know. I know some crazy people who like the overnight shift, but I think that that's something that going through the process of hiring an administrator, we have to make sure that they
Yeah.
have some administrative ability and they're not just a paramedic, and I don't say that dismissively. What I'm saying is they bring more than that experience of being a paramedic and with some administrative capacity.
It's a similar question that the select board had 4 years ago, 3 years ago, when we were going through looking at, police chief retiring. Do you want to move to a chief who's only the chief and doesn't do road patrols? Do you want, or do you need somebody who's actively in a cruiser involved in the community? We're at that point where we need the leadership to tell us which way we can best serve you guys.
So I can say, just to piggyback on David's earlier question, that the task force was more concerned about coming up with an appropriate financial model and an employment model in order to shore up the service that all of the towns rely on. They were really looking for a sustainable budget, and that's what the consultants helped us with. So more of the discussion was about the model, not about who should be
Not
in
them
what
choosing.
role. Yeah. Just,
Yeah, the numbers work, so it's
Yeah.
really about the title. So you
but that's
guys-
how we came up with the
Right.
numbers, was through that discussion.
But we left it
Yeah.
so that it could go either way for discussion purposes.
Okay. So you want boots on the ground?
Yeah,
In their
it's
chief.
a new position with this new, it's a new fully vetted 40-hour-a-week full-time Northfield position. In my role as assistant chief, it would be nice to have somebody who is doing both roles. No matter what the decision's made, we are a needed service. No one's going to come in and cover the 1,200 calls that we're doing, and we're going to try the best with the group that we've got. But however we can structure it is the best way that we can get it done.
Well, and it's, you guys have a good group. There's no question about that. The concern of the task force, which I think is shared by you as the whole department as well, is that there wasn't enough full-time support, right? And because you can only, especially overnight, you can only get staffing between 12 and 8 by doing people who volunteer to be on call. And that's not sustainable for the long haul with the call volume and the group of towns who are participating in this regional task force.
Okay.
So just
And
FYI.
when you're building this new position, you're always looking at, I have a great group of people. I love
Yeah.
the people in my department. I can name each one individually, say what they do great, and how I love them, I want them for this position. But I'm looking at the department after I'm gone, after 10 years from now, 100 years from now, whatever. This is a position that we are in the opportunity to create, and these are the roles and responsibilities we want for it, and these are the candidates that we can interview for it and see who's fit for the position.
Does the admin have any special, transcription-y needs or something like that? Is that a...
The
admin
new
money is new that we haven't really used yet. It's basically to help with offload some of the stuff. Right now, everything comes to the current administrative chief, and he delegates what he feels is necessary, and it otherwise takes it on himself. There's no delineation. His role is one role, and then he determines what the next move is.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I maybe wasn't clear. So I meant when we're hiring a separate admin for 10K, 10 hours a week, is that a skilled? Does that person need to be EMT qualified, or is that?
No, we're talking more like a
office
clerk,
staff.
an office
Oh,
assistant.
okay.
Yeah, because of the billing, the amount of billing that
There's
an
a lot of
ambulance-
paperwork,
Yeah.
even submitting their bills, even dealing with vendors, just the kinds of things that are non-medical, that's envisioned.
And currently, that's not like a position, if I'm right.
No, you don't
It's
have
just
anyone
money
there.
in the budget to
Correct.
account
That
for
job
the
description where
hours
we
involved.
have a draft and I'm working on with Becca, that would come back to you guys to be approved, and then we would go ahead and classify that for sure and then get that one out. So part of that, the non-rush on that is if we do hire a chief, they really should be involved in the creation of that because they should know what should go into that job description. What role they think that person should play in the organization and what job tasks they would assign to that person. So otherwise we're just speculating.
Sure.
So we'd like to get the other person on board first and then have that person be part of the process to create that job.
So are you voting on this tonight?
Yes.
Yep. So we can advertise.
Somebody want to make a motion one way or the other? And we'll vote on it?
I move that we move the EMS staffing in the direction of a full-time paramedic / administrative chief.
Second.
Hey, any other discussion?
I think that if that's what the department is asking for, that's what we should do.
Yeah, same here. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for
Guess we'll be
hanging
looking
out.
for one person. Okay.
Go find them.
That's right. Get somebody interested.
It's a tight network, you know people, right?
You know everybody across the state probably.
Okay. Next on the agenda, vote to establish a recreation donation account.
Yippee. So recreation is expanding, as I'm sure you are all well aware, the work they're doing. They have a revolving account, which just so you know, the revolving account is authorized every year at town meeting, and by law it can hold up to 20,000. Anything after that actually goes away. So they're very close on that. But the revolving account is a money in, money out. So if your kids
Like
are
fees and stuff like that?
correct. If your
Okay.
kids buy T-shirts, they pay the fee. The money goes in there. They buy the T-shirts. It's even being used for the summer. They might actually come back and ask for a creation of a summer rec revolving, because that one takes a bunch of money out right at the end of the fiscal year, which really messes with the July 1st date.
Oh.
So they're taking a ton of money in, but they haven't expended it yet because the program's just starting. So we may actually go with another revolving to separate those. But it's got a cap, it's got a fiscal year limitation. Donation accounts, and we have several already.
Yeah, we
a
have
fire
one.
donation, we have council on aging donation,
Senior.
police,
Yeah.
yes, we have a ton of donation accounts. Donation accounts by law are a vote of the select board. And this allows people who, for example, are going to, they've kind of been going through gyrations. So if somebody says we're going to do this recreational activity and somebody says we're going to sponsor it for $100,
There's
we
nowhere
go through
to-
these sort of gyrations to make sure that $100 pays for that activity, whereas if we put it in the donation account, then she's charging the bills for those activities to that donation account.
And the
Because-
donation account survives the fiscal year?
Correct. And that's a huge piece of what we need.
And she's actually getting donations, so
She
that's
is.
the.
She is. And the
She's
problem
been
is
really
you can't
busy.
you can't put a donation into a town-funded annual town meeting vote account. So it's not like we can go rec account, let's put the donations in it. When they're voted at town meeting, that's the budget.
You want a motion?
So,
Yeah, this is a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
I make a motion.
I move that we vote to establish a recreation donation account
pursuant
to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A.
Second.
if
Thank
anybody
you.
wants to see the law, I have it.
Any other discussion or?
No, it makes all the sense in the
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks to Stacy.
Quite pleased.
Next
And the
up,
RecCom.
We had a fall town meeting on here.
Yeah, I think there was discussion and then we wanted to add it to the agenda about whether or not you guys want to talk about
When?
creating the concept. I don't know if you have to pick the date today, but the idea was, there's been discussion about instituting a routine fall town meeting. This is done in many, many communities because when you close out the fiscal year in July, often there's end of year matters, sometimes old bills crop up, but also things have been in the works, but they haven't come to ripe fruition by town meeting in May, and it might be by the end of the summer, all of a sudden you're ready to do things that you need a town meeting vote, you need funding for, and now you're either holding something, whatever,
Well,
to do
mostly just
that.
because we always have special town the
Right.
last year we've had a bunch of special town meetings and people are frustrated because they don't know when it's coming up.
Right.
Even though we do give proper notice, but if they
So if
know
we
that it's a
viewed it-
recurring meeting.
Right, if it's happening, so 6 months out would be the first week or two of November,
Yeah.
which would be perfect timing for them to certify free cash and the enterprise fund. So if something came up with sewer, they could do a project because they could vote it in November.
Perfect.
Because now they'd have their funding. But also, we would have a date to generate things too. So for example, we were in the middle of a bylaw change, but we couldn't get it through in May, we would know our deadline is November. So then those kinds of things would show up routinely at that time of the
And
year.
we have budgets, like the sewer has budget, the DPW has budget. Something extraordinary happens and their budget goes.
6
gone.
months in, you could take another vote on
You
their
could take another
certified-
vote and certify more
on their
money.
right, so,
Right.
or any other change that needs to happen. So,
Well, you might
I-
have more free cash to work with too,
Yeah.
right?
well, you wouldn't have any free cash until it's certified.
Right,
So
that's
once
what I
all
mean.
first
So then you
hits-
would know.
And you may not, you don't want to spend it all because you
No,
want some
no,
of it
no,
remaining, but
but-
if something were to come up, you would have it available.
Right.
Yeah. I do think having a fall town meeting,
Yeah, I
in
do
my
too.
opinion, is
Do you need a vote?
a good idea, but
Well, no, I just want to make sure that's the consensus.
It's like a yay or nay at this
And
point.
you
and
will
no.
pick a date, maybe
Okay.
like when we get into the late summer, we'll know when the
So we want to just set it like the first, the town meeting is like the first Monday in May or whatever it is.
The idea would be like the first 10 days in November. Have it right in the first 10 days of November, before
Okay.
the holiday season really hits.
But depending on when we get certified.
Correct, we get a
Okay.
little bit of flexibility. I
Got it.
have talked with the finance team, we are on track. We got certified last year in October, and we're pushing to do that again this year. So the idea is, so that if we set that fall town meeting as a date, doesn't mean we can't have things that don't appropriate money, we can move money around.
Well, I make a motion that we go ahead and establish a fall town meeting for the first 10 days of November, and we can decide on a specific date later as the budget year unfolds. But I would say let's go ahead and do that now.
I'll second that. Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Chair, excuse me,
Yeah,
who was the second on the recreation donation count? It was you, thank you.
I think B did it, I seconded it.
Yeah. Tag team.
Okay.
So this one's just a short one. It's good news. The FERCog. So I'm on the finance committee. What came up was that they've had a banner year in terms of grant, as the grant environment, as somebody put it, has been, they ended up taking in more money, FERCog did this year than expected. So it's a one-off, but the recommendation from the finance committee to the executive committee was to find some sort of percentage of returning that money to the towns. And the executive committee agreed to that, and they did still put some amount of money into the retirement account. So FERCog has a really good percentage on the retirement fund, and this just putting a little bit more in it again is just makes it that much stronger of a financial situation.
I see we got just over $16,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we also did just do a council meeting last week with just this one motion so that we could get the money into this coming fiscal year as opposed to FY26.
Right, if they certified it after July 1st, it wouldn't show up for a full another year.
Right, and then it would kind of be like an audit
Unless
slash.
you have this DOR recertify your free cash, which you can do. Maybe.
Right, but we're like, let's get everybody together and get a financial quorum and get this
And
done.
just
So
for FYI, the full assessment for fiscal '24 was $26,716. So essentially, you're paying for a full year for Cox services, of which we heavily use, for $10,000 because we got 16 of it back.
yeah.
Okay.
If it's not too long-winded, how is the calculation derived at for the
Here you go.
refund?
It is EQV, valuation, census,
Yeah.
population. So there's the formula. You want to see it? That's how
Oh, that
they
was
do
on. That
this.
was in my packet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well,
so
that's
this
how
is-
they,
My laptop
It
died.
does it across the top. Shows you the different calculation, the different components.
Okay.
Do you have a USB-C? I have a cord.
No, I don't.
and it lists each town
Yes.
and how
I
they
saw it
do
as I was scrolling
Yeah.
through, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's how they do the assessment. So they did the same thing.
Can
for
you just
the-
explain briefly EQV? Is that useful?
That's
Because
equalized
that's
valuation
used
of
quite a
town.
bit.
Right. So that's adding together
Pardon me.
all the values of the town. So everything, once it's certified by the assessors, goes to the state, and they do equalized valuation. So they add, it's 517,658,400. So it's adding together the entire value of the town, and they do it.
You can buy Northfield for $500 million.
Well, there's a formula, but it's an equalized valuation. But essentially, yes, according to them. I don't think you
According to
can.
somebody, yeah.
Right.
And what is Irving, just for comparison?
956,000, but that's because this also includes personal property, and you've got a First Light over there.
Yeah, in both
Greenfield's
towns.
only, it's 106, it's 100,635 million for them.
Okay.
So anyway, that's your regional government at work, doing a good job. That's it,
Okay.
just FYI.
All right, let's get to committee and board appointments. We have
Oh.
Jan
Hurley,
Hurley to the Council on Aging.
great.
Term expires 12/31/2026.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Barbara Jock to the Regional Animal Control Advisory Committee with Andrea Lamas as alternate.
So we didn't put this on the,
Is that a year-long one?
yeah,
That expires in June
next-
30th?
June 30th.
yeah. We only-
Expiring June 30th, 2025.
That's regional and it's.
I know,
Oh, okay.
it was
Does
missed.
everybody,
It was
yeah.
missed during our appointments.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
So
it's
moved.
Okay. Second?
Second?
I did. I seconded.
Oh, you
Okay.
seconded. Oh, okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm actually the chair of the committee, so.
Okay. Okay, 6:30 reappointments. I'll read them off. I'll motion each one and I'll just need a second.
Yeah.
Motion to appoint Dennis Brennan as Veteran Graves Officer. Term expires 6/30/2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Laura, do I have to do these separate? No? Okay, Laura Dubin and Lindsay McCarthy to the
Yay.
Community Preservation Committee. Term expires 6/30/2025.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sarah Kearns to the Conservation Commission. Term expires 6/30/2027.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion. Jose Madito to the Agricultural Commission. Term expires 6/30/2027.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Andrew Vernon to the Stewardship Advisory Committee. Term expires 6/30/2027.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And motion for Victoria Luska to the Cultural Council. Term expires 2027.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we got proposed agenda items.
I
Someone,
put a new one on the table because
Yep.
some of them were already in this meeting.
mhm.
So I took them off the top, otherwise, and I added the audit, an auditor, since we've got our audit.
Oh,
for
right.
23.
And
So-
somebody mentioned the three-town
Yes,
meeting. When I
Yeah.
get
that one.
when I get the recap, I will get it on the agenda. Because they'll be emailing me a recap of that meeting.
Okay.
So that it'd be better if I had their
Yeah.
recap, because I had to leave like 10 minutes early.
Oh, shoot.
So I missed the last 10 minutes, so I'd rather see the recap before we discuss it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And what I think we should also just talk about is, because there's two agreements coming, is any.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
How dare you get sick?
I know. I'm
I
sorry.
left Highway Department priorities on there because Heath and I and Tom have been trying to get together to talk about the roads committee, setting up a date, but it may not be the July 16th meeting.
Well, and plus, what I asked Tom, and I'm going to ask you guys as part of the proposed agenda, is that we talk about building maintenance and the position and how it's being filled.
I'll add that too.
Yeah, because we'll need to get that hired, and I think we've had prior discussions over the years of proactive maintenance versus just responding to work orders.
And I wanted to add some time to review the dangerous dog policy to make sure that we know how to do it right in the future.
Yeah, I've been rewriting that
Okay.
as a procedure, so I can
And,
put that on.
and there were some specific notes, I guess, on why it was overturned,
Yeah.
and so make
Got the
making
whole,
sure to
Yep.
all the considerations.
incorporate it.
Yes, and the AC, the animal control officer,
Wants my notes, actually.
will
But I am working. I have
we'll
been
consult
working
on that
a
as well.
protocol so that you guys can run a
And
protocol.
I will take, also I will take that into the regional so that other towns can
Once I
learn.
get it, I'll send it to you to review.
Yeah, please. The other thing I wanted to add was a procedure for emergency communication based on the 911 being down and the different messages on social media regarding which numbers to call, being not syncing up with what was on the reverse 911.
So my thought is that in July, the fire
EMD?
chief would be in, and maybe.
Then we can talk
put
about
EMD
training
right
too.
after it
Yeah.
for sort
Yeah,
of
they
discussion.
mentioned that at the FERCog thing I was at yesterday,
Oh,
because you're talking the emergency system, you know, how you get information out. If we have Triple E in Northfield, I mean, you really want to get that out, and you want people coming into Northfield from the other area towns, so you have to have a good communication system. You have to really coordinate with FERCog and that. But if we have confusion like we did with the 911, you know, we don't want people.
so we should add what you learned into that whole discussion as well.
Yeah,
Sounds
we'll-
like,
yeah. You just have to have it a little smoother when, you know, something like that happens. It
Yeah.
just was a lot of confusion on, you know, I did see at the end on social media that they had a number to call for fire, a number to call for police, and a number to call for ambulance. I don't know
Also, the chiefs had not been contacted
right.
regarding the
Right.
reverse
So-
911
So if you're going to
information.
have them call each one, they have to be manned. That phone has to be manned. So that's important. If you can't have somebody calling in an emergency and losing time because the phone's not manned.
We're trying to figure out which number you're supposed to call.
Yeah, we don't want to waste
But
time.
I just want to make sure departmental-wise too, that
Yeah.
the emergency management director, this part of this procedure, would be reaching out to both the EMS and police chief
So we'll put
before.
it on for the 16th. And
Great.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
be
Thank
clear
you.
with him kind
Just
of what your agenda item
Yeah,
is.
just to nail that. That was a good
Okay.
fire drill, so to speak.
Okay, that's it for that, I guess. Announcements, any announcements?
No?
Okay. No recognitions for service? Okay, we have a possible executive session. I motion we go to executive session for contract negotiation, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21(2), to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, not to return to open session.
Second.
I'll take a roll call vote on that.
B, yes.
Bernie, yes.
Sarah, yes.
Keith, yes.
David, yes.
Okay, all yes.
All right,
Okay, we're
got
done.
her.